Come with me if you want to live.
Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel, and today's video that is quickly going to focus on FuelCell quarterly report that was announced today. So in pre-market, after the announcement, the stock was down with 7%, but as of now it is up with 1.91%. It's in the plus, and you gotta start asking yourself the question whether anything can stop really this stock or the hydrogen sector in general, because it seems like no matter what they announce, the stock keeps going up. And the announcement today, in our opinion, was not that positive, and we're going to explain you in this video why this is the case and what still we think about FuelCell stock after the announcement today. So to put it simply, FuelCell did not deliver on the expectations today. The expectation for the EPS was a minus of only 0.066, and the actual one was actually minus 0.08, obviously not good. The same with the revenue. They expected 17,050,000, and the actual was only 16,999,000. And then you gotta say, yeah, but there's not such a big difference. And you're totally right. It's not because those numbers are alarming. It's not because of this that we think, oh, they didn't deliver just about the expectation. But we will explain you in more detail why we are still a bit negative on FuelCell. What some may come and say is, well, yeah, but the EPS is actually up 33.33%, which is true. It has improved quite significantly, which is obviously good. And you could also say on the revenue side, yeah, it rose 53.96% year over year. So here we take a look at the EPS over the years, and as we can see, it has improved significantly, which would appear when you look at this, wow, it's good, it's becoming less, they should soon become profitable. Well, we would still argue that that is not necessarily going to be the case. So well, despite the year-over-year positive news, when we look at it from a long-term horizon, there's still issues that we can see with FuelCell. And one of them is, if we look at this 10-year chart that shows the revenue, the cost of revenue and R&D expenses for the last 10 years, FuelCell so far until today topped in 2013, where the revenue was 188 million. And it hit the bottom point in 2019. So although it looks really good with the year-over-year increase, well, over a 10-year period, the revenue has not moved anywhere. It hasn't increased, similar to some of the other hydrogen stocks that we checked, like for example Plug Power. And what is even more interesting is, although the EPS has shrunk, some of the cost on FuelCell side has also shrunk, and one of them is the R&D expenses, which in 2020 only amounted to around $4.7 million. Again, there is a $16 million research spend that is joined in collaboration with other companies. This is only shown the R&D expenses that FuelCell is putting them into themselves. And basically, if they do it with other people, yeah, but they're also getting part of the revenue, while as the things that the R&D that FuelCell can do themselves, well, they can obviously benefit from that. So it's a little bit surprising to see that the revenue is shrinking, the R&D spending by FuelCell themselves is also shrinking, and that is just some of these elements that we are a little bit negative around. We would expect by now that you should see a relative consistent increase in the revenue of them. So again, based on this, we are just a little bit negative on FuelCell. We know we have been wrong so far. We know that the share price has gone up with more than 700% as of today. So we are not hiding that, but we just gotta say that we don't believe it's the fundamentals that is driving the increase in the share price. We believe that it's much more the whole sector expectations, all the hype around the hydrogen and the future based on what a lot of governments are intending to do over the world. It seems like that no matter what you're doing, if you are in hydrogen, your share price is going to increase even though your numbers does not really justify it. And we are preparing a separate video on another company that will most likely come out this week or next week that will try to illustrate another perspective where you have a company where the share price has increased a bit, but it is also appears to be justified in the numbers. On the announcement side, there has been some positive news over the last quarter. Well, basically FuelCell have taken the opportunity of the increase in share price to issue more common stock to basically raise more equity. They were struggling a little bit on their balance sheet, and these two issuances have definitely helped to give them more capital and cash on their balance sheet, which they need because, as we just mentioned, they are still losing money and they're expecting to do that in the foreseeable future. So this was a good move by them. They were diluting a bit of the shareholder value without pissing out too many people, simply because the share price was increasing so much. In addition to that, they were also announcing a few awards, which is obviously good. However, the flip side of that is that FuelCell mentioned in a specific part of the announcement today that the backlog actually have decreased with 2.5% to $1.29 billion as of October 31st, 2020. So again, we have mentioned that in separate videos that FuelCell's backlog is quite good. It doesn't mean that all this 1.29 billion will actually materialize in the end. We hope that for them, but it's not a guarantee. But overall, it is quite strong, but it is a bit of a warning signal that the revenue is going down. The backlog seems to be decreasing. It seems like they're not really winning a lot of new businesses, at least in the last quarter. And basically, the statement or the reason that they said this happened was that under the generation backlog, as they call it, they didn't sell as much because the fuel pricing decreased, and basically they have to lower their future revenue based on that. So that was another negative element in the quarterly report from their side. So what is our verdict after today's announcement from FuelCell? Well, basically we are still a bit pessimistic about the stock, and we feel definitely that it's overvalued by a significant mile. We think that there are better players in the hydrogen sector that we would rather put our money on than FuelCell as of today. So if you have gotten a nice good profit on FuelCell, again, you should perhaps consider to take a little bit of profit. You don't necessarily have to sell your full position, but just take a little bit so you're covered in case the stock comes crashing down at a certain point, which is what we expect is going to happen when the market comes back to what we would consider more realistic. But again, the market is unpredictable at the moment. As we said, it was down 7% in pre-market. It seems that it will stay positive for the end of the day. So the stock definitely has a lot of momentum, and it has also recovered quite nicely after the downgrade from Paul Costa from JP Morgan the other day. This was all we had for today. We really hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe for future content. Please give us a like. It really helps with the algorithm. And please give us a comment in the comment section. Do you disagree with our view on FuelCell? Is there something that we are missing? We would really like to hear that from you, because there could be some angles that we haven't covered. Besides that, there's not much more to say than have a nice day, stay safe, hasta la vista, baby.